I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I had to quit work to like figure it out. I'm one of those all-in people. I can't like go and do something half. I feel like I'm cheating someone. Anything above $1 million in personal earnings is just frequency game. Just a game of frequency. You want to go skiing every weekend? You want to book out the lodge rather than stay at the place there? We all get to the same destination. We're all in the ski fields, even at post 500K. You might do it differently, but frequency, that's the game. So what that taught me was I now don't care about the number. Like when I say that I don't care about like with the profit, what the number is, I work to percentage bandwidth. So for me, it's like I have a goal on the top line that continues to be higher each year. And that has to be because the whole world is more expensive each year. So therefore, if it isn't, you're dying, you're losing money. So you have to aim for more. You can't aim for the same and your cost lines just keep going up. The second thing is we know when we do more, we naturally just...
Welcome to the Level Me podcast, where we rise to the level of those around us. And today we have Arjun Paliwal from InvestorKit. Arjun, welcome.
Thank you, mate. Great to be here.
Mate, I'm pumped. You hit me up the second you're in the GC and I was like, mate, you are coming on this podcast.
Well, mate, not only for the podcast, see you, been a minute, see your pad, loving it here. And weather's beautiful as well, so can't complain.
Thanks for dropping in, bro. One thing that I love about you is for the last 2 years, you've won Buyer's Agency of the Year, which most of the followers will know about, but like that is kind of, for people who aren't in the Buyer's Agency space, it's like the pinnacle, which is crazy. And you've won it back to back 2 years in a row. What's the feeling? Like obviously year one would have been amazing. And then to follow that up with year two is pretty good. But how are you feeling now? Are you feeling like, oh, we're going to go again? Or like, what's the go?
Well, see, this is interesting, right? So year one was the most high that you could get in like euphoria, feeling amazing, everything that you've worked hard towards coming up, right? Year two, everything improved in the business. Everything went better. But honestly, I'll be really honest. I'd be lying if I said I was going to go into there and go, yeah, we're going to take out year two, because no one has ever achieved back-to-back before. So for me, it's like, it's never happened. It's great to be on the finalist table, gold, silver, then hopefully a gold one point in the future, and a nice comeback story. Let's keep working at it. Lots of new team members. So, we're growing. And we got it. I was like, damn, crazy. And we celebrated, right? And so here's the thing. We won 2 years in a row, but with the third year coming up, let's just assume they base it on the same things. Industry impact, business growth, revenue, profits, customers helped, customer feedback, team growth. Let's just say all the same metrics. I'm not saying we're going to win third time in a row, and I'm not saying that's some star that it's just a must for us and that's everything we do. But they're based off the prior year's results, right? So the next time isn't based off what we're doing now. It's based off what we did to the ending June 30th, 2024. We doubled the business in revenue. We tripled the business in profits. We doubled the amount of customers we help. We helped more families and had more repeat customers than ever. We had more team members, greater industry impact with more media, more insights for property investors, all for free. So if it's all the same metrics, it's looking pretty good, right? Because we've doubled the year that we won two in a row. But I'm not going to jinx it. I'm just going to say, like, first year was phenomenal. Second year was, I felt like how did this happen? And we just really gave us more confidence from that to go, why not go for it for a third? And it's been a special last year. And now it's just like, hey, look, we won it, but that's not why we do it. That just is a beautiful outcome to celebrate a milestone. That's all.
That's amazing because you've only been in business 6 years. I think you did a post the other day. It's like it's only been 6 years, and 2 out of the 6, which is 1/3 of the time, you're like the best buyer's agent in the country. Like, it just blows my mind. So well done, man. And I think it's a big attribute now because have you got like 30 staff at the moment?
I think we're close to 40 now.
Oh my goodness.
Or just under 40.
Every time I ask you that number, like it grows exponentially.
Man, look, it's a nice thing from an impact for people, but it's not some badge of honor I make in terms of how good your business is. That's not the measure of it. For me, though, it is impact. Like one day I do want to have thousands of people as employees, not because it's cool to have 1,000 and it's a flex or anything. It's because we've got a framework to literally change our employees' lives. I've learned this framework. It's called PPF, helping people with personal, professional, and financial goals, short, medium, long. And this framework works. Like we've transformed lives in our team. I just want to do that at scale because I know the flow and impact that makes. So to know that we can do that, yeah, okay, 40, 50, 100,000, 10,000, 50,000. I want that because we know that product and service is good on the other side. We know we can change people's lives in our team. Why wouldn't you? So now I wear it as a badge of honor with impact, not a badge of honor of how good my business is. Like business and people, you got to find the perfect mix: revenue, profits, people. It ain't cheap, right?
But it must, like, you must have this underlying drive to want to reinvest back into the business,
Yes.
back into that staff member account, improve your client success, include all your processes from start to finish. Does that do you sometimes see the revenue number and be like, oh man, I could put that in my bank account, or go, no, I just want to reinvest it back into the business?
Yeah, it's a good point. So I actually I now don't care about the number. Like when I say that, I don't care about with the profit, what the number is. I work to percentage bandwidth. So for me, it's like I have a goal on the top line that continues to be higher each year. And that has to be because the whole world is more expensive each year. So therefore, if it isn't, you're dying, you're losing money. So you have to aim for more. You can't aim for the same and your cost lines just keep going up. The second thing is we know when we do more, we naturally just earn more. So if you're having more impact, you're going to earn more. If you're not having more impact, you're not going to earn more. So those are the two healthy reasons. And then, of course, there's the goals, financial, the goals of professional impact, the team numbers I mentioned to you. So that's a top line. The bottom line, I just work on a percentage, right? A great service business at small to medium scale, 20 to 40%, right? If I'm at 20% versus if I'm at 40, like I'm not dancing, I'm in the range. If we're at 20, we better have reinvested. We better have had more people. We better have improved our services. Could a customer who came in today and a customer a year ago say that, wow, this new stuff's cool. This helped me out. I like it now more. Your team members, they're great. If that shit's not happening, we're at 20% because we suck. So to me, no issue. But if we're at 40%, I will make sure that it's only worth and exciting about if we did all those improvements. If we didn't, that's another year of just putting some cash aside, but not really making something positive out of it. So I think business owners should be like less dollar focused and more like range focused, and just go what's industry. At a large level, 20 to 40 is probably too big. At a large level, you're probably looking at like 15 to 30. From a service business, obviously there's some that operate lower at huge scale, but that's a bit scary for me. So yeah, I think 20 to 40, I've had years where I was below it. I've had years at the peak of it. I've had years in the middle. And so for me, just no thoughts on the stashing the cash outside of buffers for the business. It's all about just reinvesting and making sure we're all okay.
Well, that's you said two critical things there. The first one is like, the more you spend, the more you earn. And for someone who's like just a solopreneur or just started their own business, it's so common to have this philosophy of like, well, no one's going to be able to sell better than I am, or no one's going to be able to deliver this service as well as I am, or all the clients going to want to speak to me. Yeah. And then you mentioned you even said there's a level that other people are at, which is too crazy for me. But I'm sure along your journey, there would have been like different levels of that as you've gone through. I think one thing you said to me last time you were in the GC and we had Brekkie, you were like, with our marketing budget, we actually want to spend for where we want to be next year.
Yes, good point.
Rather than we are today. So has there been a lot of learnings around because you've always been a big fan of like investing for your future. Have you always had that philosophy, or have you had to kind of build to that or understand and learn that?
I learned it over time. I didn't always think of that. I always felt investing in your future is a must. Like you can take it from the pre-business days. Go to two people, one person that's done a course and one person that doesn't invest in courses. You just get a different person. Like one person's already wired differently because they're forking out money in the hopes to learn something outside of their professional workplace. Another person's not. Right? So already in pre-work, just in your day-to-day job, you're noticing a difference. So of course it's going to be the same thing at scale, right? In your company when you invest in yourself. But that didn't translate the whole way through in business. I think I picked it up a few years in. The moment where I picked it up for me was like probably year 2 to year 3. And what I'd started to learn was a few things. At year 3, I'd started to learn, and this is just my own philosophy, some people don't live by this, but I'm of the belief that when you make between 0 and 500K, as you're inching closer to 500K, and I'm talking profits here or income to yourself, at that point, each time you get up to 500, your life is enhancing. Then I'm of the belief that once you move from 500 to the million bracket, you're just in a position where you're now moving beyond needs met, enhancing life, and you're able to now do almost anything you want in the world, but you just have a frequency issue. So what I mean by the frequency issue is this. Someone who earns between 500K to $1 million can go on a private jet. They can't do it every weekend. They can go on it once though. They can take friends with them. Someone between 500K and $1 million can take their family, both current and extended, on a fat holiday. Someone at 500K to $1 million, obviously the higher you go, right, in that bandwidth, can donate back to charities regularly. But they can't donate all of it. So what I learned real quick is that 0 to 5, you're getting improvements in enhancing your day-to-day. 500 to 1, I believe firmly, if you're not mortgaged to your eyeballs and everything, you can do anything you want. Anything above $1 million in personal earnings is just frequency game. Just a game of frequency. You want to go skiing every weekend? You want to book out the lodge rather than stay at the place there? We all get to the same destination. We're all in the ski fields, even at post 500K. You might do it differently, but frequency, that's the game. So what that taught me was, I've never been, you know me, I've never been a lavish, fancy, I don't drive any crazy special cars. And the only reason I bought my nice home is because I can fit 11 people in there. I'm a family guy. I wanted my family, and my dad lives with me, my mother-in-law, my stepmom, my stepsister, 2 dogs, my brother, his partner, kids, room for future kids. That was why. Just the home happened to accommodate that. So knowing that none of those cool things, I'm into that, I just felt like, well, anything over the $1 million, if you're not in this crazy position where you need it for these bandwidth for risk management, just chuck it back in, reinvest. You're going to make your company better for your clients. You're going to make your company better for your team. And if your team finds their job easier to do, they can achieve more PPF. They'll stay longer. To this day, no one's actually ever left InvestorKit without a restructure or without them starting up their own thing. So starting up their own thing, hats off. A restructure, sorry, it just didn't work. Other than that, everyone stayed. So in my opinion, I think that's the big part where it really came through for me. And the final learning that made me realize that, hey, this reinvesting thing's so important is time is the most expensive commodity. Like, people don't realize, and this is where we talked about that 20 to 40% bandwidth, right? If profit margins, if you flip your business the other way around, this is the way I'd look at it. You spend 60 to 80% to buy back time, which means at $10 million of revenue, someone needs to spend between $6 and $8 million to have time back. Otherwise, at smaller levels of revenue, you'll be doing every call. You'll be doing every strategy. You'll be buying every property. You'll be doing the marketing. You'll be everywhere for everything. As you go up, you think that, revenue, profits, all that sort of stuff, and making more, you're actually spending more to have time back. Very few entrepreneurs that don't run multi-7-figure, 8-figure businesses actually have their time back. They say, great, I control my time, I'm running business. Get out of here. It's like morning till night and weekends. It's only when you start spending 60 to 80% in the way that you need to at scale where you realize, hey, time's the most expensive commodity. So if any chance at trying to get that time back, you've got to reinvest. People, systems, technology for your customers, attention and marketing for steadiness and consistency. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I love that. And is there a certain, for me, you mentioned you were just working off percentages before. Is there a certain number, does it scare you that you have to spend 6, 7, 8 million out of your own pocket to do it that way? Or is it just we know it's a percentage thing now?
Yeah. Look, I'd be lying if there's no fear in this world. Yes, we can look invincible to the outside world, building businesses, growing things, tackling everything in front of us. But man, everyone's got that little voice inside of them. It's just about how much some days it comes out and how much it doesn't. For me, I think the thing is this. Again, this is going to sound weird to some people, but when you grow your business more and more, a couple of $1 million is not a lot of money. And it's not because it's not a lot of money of what you can do. Remember, I told you the income thing earlier. That's income. That's not cash. It's income. And for anyone listening to this who's starting their business or starting to grow it, a couple of $1 million, what a dickhead. It's not a lot of money. Who does this guy think he is? I don't mean that in the sense of me picking up that cash and spending it. I mean in the sense that if you have a $10 million business, maybe call it a $15 million business per annum, and you spend $10 million, with that $10 million you spend, we'll make it $12 million for simple math, 20% numbers on on that. So 80% spend, 20% profit. With that 12 million, that's $1 million a month. If hell breaks loose, lockdowns happen again, and you just want to be okay for 3 months to figure life out, figure your business, not let go of your team, you need 3 million cash sitting in your bank. That's what I mean by a couple of $1 million is not a lot of money. What that couple of $1 million in your bank does though, if you set aside that buffer, and this is where many business owners go wrong, they won't set aside that buffer because money's coming in, business is growing good, you feel invincible, every year your business is growing, shit gets tough once, you think of redundancies, think of cutting back on advertising, you want to, restructure your whole business, you restructure your philosophies, your goals change, you hide, and all that impact that you're here on this earth to put out there suddenly dies. And so for me, man, that was a lesson I learned. In 2021, 22, we had the incorrect structures, the incorrect models, we're restructuring our team. It just wasn't working, and our profit margins dipped to 8-10%. And for me, that was scary. And why was it scary though? I didn't put the cash aside. I kept investing because I thought, hey, I'm the property guy. I'm meant to keep buying properties. Because if I don't, people won't think I'm cool. If I don't keep buying properties, my customers will be like, you're not inspirational anymore. And I had this belief that I had to keep buying. There's good news through property buying. I built my portfolio. I'm grateful that I bought many of those properties, especially during the recent booming times. But that was a sickening feeling because I did let go of some people. So this time around, the last 12 months, 18 months outside of my house that I live in, which I sold a couple of properties to make work, I didn't really go hard on investing because I realized this business is bigger than me now. I've got 40 families there to feed, 40 families to look out for, 40 careers to grow, not just a job, a career. And now my mindset's changed. Once in a while, I'll go through a wave of buying investments, being that inspiration to my client, growing my portfolio, challenging the status quo. I will do that in waves, but nothing will get in the way of me making sure this business is successful and I don't have that fear again. And so now I have to keep aside a couple of $1 million because you've got risk. If we're running for a $13 million target, $14 million target this year, if I don't keep aside $2 million, $3 million, I'm the most selfish man. I don't care about my team, my family of the team members. I don't care about my clients and all the reinvestment and the tools and the products we could do to get better. So my philosophy is changing a lot in business. I feel like I really need to get that fear out, and to do that, take a step back to go 2 steps forward. So now I have that fear as in very little because I've been working effectively to cull that fear, but I learned the hard way. In 2021, 22, I had that fear. I was scared.
How many did you cull? Was there a few or?
I think 2 or 3, some via restructure, some via models not working, some via performance. It just was a period where I was in a mental state that I didn't want to be in, which was like cutting and, curling up. And that's not me. That's not who I am. So that felt weird to me, but I learned it, and I learned it early in my journey, not later. And now I've learned to never have to be in that position again. So that's my goal.
So you mentioned it a few times. You mentioned that you bought the big house for your family. You mentioned that you have 40 staff members that need to put food on the table, provide for their families. And one moment I'll never forget about you, I was at InvestorKit Hobart conference, I don't know, 2022 or something like that, 2021, sometime. It was real early. And we had everyone there. We were sitting at the table. You got up, you were speaking, you were encouraging, you were driving everyone. It was super encouraging for me because I was going through that phase where, for everyone who doesn't know, you used to work with InvestorKit for like a year and a half or something like that, or maybe 2 years. And then I started game plans off the back of that. But I was kind of in that phase of moving on to game plans, but still working for you. But you were just super inspiring. And then one moment you just stopped and you broke down, and it was like I'm about to cry now. It was just the most heart-wrenching moment because your mum passed away, and you just had a moment for mum, and it was so beautiful and special. And I just love that whole philosophy of you is you genuinely care about your family and making sure everyone's looked after, making sure everyone's at home, they're cared for, everyone's sorted, but also your staff members. Is that kind of going back to early days, growing up in Wellington and all that sort of stuff. Is that kind of where it all began for you?
I would say, look, I think values of what's at your home and what's around you molds you into who you're going to be. So for me, my mum was that, right? My mum was like, I'll take care of everyone. I'm here for everyone. Don't want to let anyone down. And so that was a big value for me, like just being around her and having that presence. Also, I think I'm just a pretty emotional guy. And I may not look at too many people because of, you know, the research, the numbers, the facts, the data, and I don't look at that. But when it comes to people, I am. And so as a result, I just feel like there's such a deep responsibility, like with people in your team and like what you do for others, your clients, your family. And when it takes you also to lose someone to make it matter even more. So for example, the big move for bringing all my family together, all 11 of us and more in the future, that's also was fast-tracked in importance for me because of losing mum. So when you lose mum, it's like, I don't want to not spend time with dad. So now I get to see my dad like all the time, right? We have some little tiffs and things like that, but like, it's just cool, like to have that. And, you know, I've had personal scares as well for health. So as a result, you prioritize things more. So yeah, I think that came from just family values, maybe around mum. And secondly, just through when you lose someone, you kind of, everything's just hypersensitive. Everything means more, like little interactions that you'd see or little moments with your daughter or little songs that come on. Anything is just hypersensitive now when you lose someone in life. So just, you know, you get a little bit more stuck on those thoughts. That's it.
It's good. And speaking of your old man, I saw a video from your brother that he posted the other day. Your old man was on the boxing, he was boxing or something. I was like, man, he's got some moves. I don't want to muck around with Mike Paliwal, that's for sure.
Oh, he's good fun, man. He's good fun.
Cool, man. So I love it. So early days, you're in the banking world, yeah?
Yeah, ex-CBA.
Cool.
Banker. Learned a lot about property through customers and seeing what they do. The cool thing about banking is everyone has to tell you what's in their portfolio. There's no way around it. And so it just depends on whether you want to do this as a job and just do the job, or whether you want to be curious as hell, learn how they got there, how they started, why they got there. And so a little bit I know, I was doing podcasts every day for work, but just with no recording, right? Because I was asking everyone about their portfolio. But yeah, that inspired me for sure. The banking stuff helped a lot.
And that started your investing journey?
Yeah. So banking, investing journey started when I was in that career. I'd used buyer's agents in the past as well, just to get a feel and save some time, a big part of what we do. Research roles in the head office where I was like, you know, in certain positions there, did my master's degree and all that sort of stuff. Got my MBA, built a bit of a portfolio. And then I think I was about 26 years old when I'd left work, or 25. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I had to quit work to like figure it out. I'm one of those all-in people. I can't like go and do something half. I feel like I'm cheating someone. Like imagine working at one place and then also going, I'm not going to talk to you about my plans to leave. Like if you're open about it, great. But like I just couldn't. So I quit, tried to figure out what I wanted to do. Passion met opportunity. And then that turned into something.
So using a buyer's agent beforehand, did that kind of like open you up to the whole industry? Or like, because it was 6 years ago would have been like still really, really fresh in Australia, right?
Yeah, so I'd used the buyer's agent maybe 8 years ago. Yeah, it opened me up to things that were good, things that weren't good. The fact that there's a business case and the fact that you can meet passion with workplace and all comes together. I think those are all the things that came from it. I did some investing with them, some investing without them, and just the experiences and the contrast of it all just made me go, yeah, I can do this better. And that was my goal.
So what was move number one? Your back was against the wall. You had no income. You quit your job. How did you start?
Well, a couple of things, right? So firstly, I had to put all my properties on interest only, good old interest only. And this is the thing I want to touch on, people like who see stuff out there on the internet. Just remember, if someone doesn't have a whole bunch of gray hairs, it's likely not passive income. Me and you know this, we talk about it hard. Passive income, sustainable versus unsustainable. I had what you call, and like 99% of others out there who claim the same passive income, they have what's called unsustainable passive income. Meaning you can use it as a pivot point, you can use it as a break, you can use it as a sabbatical, whatever you want to do, right? Holidays, this and that. It's on interest only, it earns more than it costs. You have an income stream, but the moment that interest only comes off, the bank's asking you for pay slips, tax returns, and you ain't got shit when you're on the beach having a pina colada, no tax returns there, no pay slips there. So you're going to stay on P&I, not on a 30-year term, probably 26, 25 years now because your interest only is up, and you're not going to have passive income. So like 90% of people, 99 even, don't. The 1%ers that do either had a good amount of time on this earth, or maybe they just invested super, super young, and it's kind of okay time on this earth, or they had a windfall, sold off a whole bunch, kept the rest, and don't have much passive income, if I'm honest. Or they just did really well in business, paid off all their assets, and they got some passive income. It ain't normal until about 20 years, right? Like that's a good long portfolio to have all that stuff. So I had unsustainable passive income for 4 years. And I told myself, I'm leaving the corporate world, got my MBA, did some investing that would be getting me 10 years ahead where I would be normally. My wife's super supportive and would still work and support. I've got my family here in the worst case, in case I need to just have home-cooked meals all the time. And I'm not leaving my career on a bad note, and if shit doesn't work out after 4 years, I'll make a few phone calls, and hopefully I'll get a half-decent job back at CBA. When you know that's your worst case, you just got to give it a go. So I quit, gave it a go, had a bit of that stream, had my wife working, had some credit cards that helped me out in the early days to test, because I didn't want to wait for this. I didn't want to try and have to figure it out too long. I wanted to test it out, market here, try that. And eventually life worked out. The first year, like many, it's not super successful in its own rights for learnings and all that sort of stuff. But it's usually year 3 when business starts to really propel, because you go past that phase of learning what works, what doesn't work. People repeat, people tell other people, word spreads, so forth.
Yeah. That first initial trial, had you done anything in business before that?
No, but my dad ran a business. So mechanic. We had his own workshop back in New Zealand. He has one here now as well in Sydney. And so I just knew that it would take a lot of work. I didn't shy away from that. And so just seeing dad do the work, I think that made that part easy. Like my family was not, shy or sort of anti-work. It wasn't a finish at 5, come home. I was used to my dad not being around until late in the night, him going early morning. So the fact that I was used to that just made me realize, I just got to put in the work and that's it. Yeah,
nice. And once you set up the business, do you remember your first client? What did that look like?
Yeah, I do. I do remember my first client. I was very lucky to have a friend support. And the funniest thing is, he was talking to a competitor, the one that I used to help my portfolio. And at that time, that competitor had everything more testimonials, more clients, more this, more that. And so I just waved that white flag friend card, come on, bro, you know me and you. Oh, whatever they're charging, I'll charge way less, right? So early days was a couple of friends. And then what interestingly enough happens is your friends don't back you after that. Just a couple, right? The rest of it's all strangers. Because I think I'm a firm believer that your friends, they want to maintain that friendship with you. And so they don't want to do something with you in business right at the start because they feel is he serious about this? Is he going to give it a go? Year 3, my friends all came out of nowhere. It's Arjun, remember me? We've been doing this. And I was so grateful for their support. Came a little bit late, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Came in and it changed my life from there.
Yeah, nice, man. And what was it with obviously having dad having a business? I mean, he would have been through kind of the marketing sales thing a little bit, but it would have been different, right? It would have been a shop.
Yeah.
So you would have been bound to a particular area and had a particular location and demographic of people that he wanted to go to. But how being an investor-focused buyers agency, I mean, obviously you buy across the country. So what are those initial marketing and sales things look like?
Yeah, it was definitely no typical stuff of the shop front and put a sign out and all that sort of stuff. But it was a mixture of everything. Honestly, it was a spray and hope. Record a bunch of videos, write a bunch of blogs, chuck some money into ads, catch up with brokers, accountants, financial planners. And I'm actually a big advocate for spray and hope. I'm a big advocate because what I've come to learn is if you put 10 businesses in the same niche next to each other, whichever niche, one person did it well through TikTok. One person did it well through a Facebook group. One person did it well through email marketing. One person did it well through B2B. One person had no marketing, silent, doesn't have a website that works, and it's just word of mouth and repeats. There's different ways. And so what the spray and hope way at the start of business teaches you, expensive, yes, because you're trialing everything, but not fully trialing everything. It teaches you what's you, teaches you what works, teaches you what doesn't work for you, because there could be so many things in that one way of doing it. Like if you're on TikTok, what if you can't dance, right? What if you can't be, having the humor to it? Or what if you can't edutain? What if you can't, have a system that, attracts people that like that? I'm not saying that's a bad audience. I'm just saying you can't relate to them, then you might not work there. So I feel like spray and hope was the best thing to happen to me because I learned lots, I made mistakes, I figured out what works for me, and then now I just continue that.
Still spray and hope, or is there a few things that have worked really well for you?
I'd be lying if I'd said that I don't spray and hope a little bit. As if every business owner 6, 10, 15 years in can even say that they've figured out all of marketing. Marketing forever changes. Always an element of spray and hope. But there's some things that obviously now I know work more than others. And I have more confidence. And so instead of spray hope at 25% level across 10 things, I can be 50 on one, 30 on the other, 5%ers on the other to test them. Yeah, so my testing mindset doesn't stop. My learning mindset on marketing doesn't stop. I again use a bandwidth, and I believe business owners should use bandwidths for everything. So my bandwidth now is 0 to 15%, and that's my marketing. And it's not of today's revenue. You touched on this earlier. I use future revenue. So if my future goal is, say, someone's future goal, and then looking at a business and they're like, I want to make $10 million in revenue this year, I'd suggest you go between 500K and 1.5 million, 5, 10, 15% of revenue target. And the more you want to try and hit that 10 million, you're likely the higher percentage. But again, cash, appetite, all that stuff has to be considered. So I set a goal that every revenue target I have, I put 15% to marketing, no matter what happens, every year. Even if I don't know if it'll work or not. I have some experimentative, some foundational, and some kind of just broad brand-based. So it's like foundational, broad brand-based, and then experimentative. And then as experiments and stuff work and things don't work, I switch it up. But I'll just go 15%, live with the results later, just commit.
Well, the game's always changing, right? So it's good to have your foundational base and what you know that works for you. Yeah. But then also, like, if next TikTok comes out, it's worth investing in that just to see if it's your thing, if it's going to work, if it's not going to work, all that sort of stuff. Cool, that makes sense. So going back to kind of the early days, because when I came on board to InvestorKit, I think it was Lee was doing the qualifying calls.
Yeah.
Then I was doing the sales calls and the strategy calls, and then we had Nikita, and we had one over, I think, as well.
Me and AJ.
AJ, that's right.
Yeah.
And so there was 5 at that point in time, which I think it was only year 2 or so. It was pretty early days.
Yeah, pretty early. We still committed to a few people, right?
Yeah. Did you just want to hire people straight away, or what did that look like?
Look, I have this belief, and this is just my thoughts, and I'm not going to here to say that anyone who runs a small business and stays small is doing a bad thing. I'm just here to say my belief, right? My belief is that people who stay small do a disservice to a customer. I think, and I used to be guilty of this. I used to stay small and think it was a badge of honor to go, word of mouth, no marketing, I'm here to support, I am your everything, and I shall do everything in my power to make sure you get the best and everything's the best. That's just ego getting in the way. Because you can't tell me, and I will admit it right now, I am not a better buyer than my best buyer. I am not a better closer than my best closer. I'm not better at managing client success milestones than my client success. Even if I was in that small business mode of me only, I could probably at best negotiate for 1 hour a day. Because I'm having a consultation call with someone, I'm then building strategy, I'm then doing property reports, I'm then calling a bunch of agents to get off markets, I'm then researching, analyzing markets, I'm then flying around, driving around, taking videos of properties, looking at stuff. And you're going to tell me, and I'm going to tell you I'm an expert? Hey, I'm an expert? I'm a great negotiator? Dude, I negotiated for 30 minutes. Now, do you all start there? Hell yeah, I'm not here to talk down. I started somewhere too, we all do. I'm just here to say it's a disservice if you stay there. Or it's selfish if you stay there. And hey, if that's your thing, you just want to make lean, mean, money machine, no risk, go home, pay off your mortgages, happy family, happy wife, happy whatever you want to call it, you do you. I can't control someone else's desires on this earth. But I just want to build this thing for impact. I want to help as many people because I know what I do helps. Like imagine this, every year for 3 years, next 3 years, every week for the next 3 years, we can put out a case study of someone we've helped get multiple investment properties. That shit makes me feel so good. Not because of the case study part, because the fact that we can do it. So to me, that's where the team mentality came from. If you're going to try and make an impact, go all out. It's if you want to do this, right? If you're going to try and truly be good at something and have the customer get the best of you, go all out and build a team, because you can get specialists, right? You're telling me I'm a better marketer than my marketer? No way. Like how, right? I'm just good at putting people together. I'm good at rallying us together. I'm good at planning things. I'm good at reverse engineering a plan. I'm good at going to sleep and waking up and realizing there's a goal ahead and trying to figure out how to attack it. I'm good at focusing on a thing or two rather than letting everything distract me. Just basic stuff. And hopefully it works, right? And it has so far. The truth is my team's better than me at stuff. And if I want a customer to get the best of everyone, like my strategist, like Adrian, you know Adrian, dude's the best.
He's a gun.
He's so good. And so like, yeah, sure, I can make people feel better by me speaking to them. Yeah, I spoke to Arjun, but you're describing and replacing feel with actual outcome. Adrian's better than me at delivering it, answering your questions in detail, giving you all the information. I won't go into the same detail he does. I can make you feel good though, because you spoke to me. I'm the founder of the business. I care about you. I love you. I want your results to get where they want to go. Like I'm going to do that. But you're loving the feeling. You're not loving the outcome. The dude's better than me. Let him be better than me. So that's just where my thoughts came from. So again, no hate to anyone staying small. I was once small. I'm still small in the grand scheme of business today. I'm not here to pretend like I'm some empire dude. Just in our industry, we're getting there, right? But from a size of small, stay small if you want to be the lean, mean profit machine. Help a few friends out. Go from there. I do not hate anything you do. I'm just telling you, my guys are better than you because they're specialists. You can't argue that.
100%. They're niche down in their one thing.
That's it.
Do you have the same rule that you apply to marketing where it's like you spend 15 or 20% of your marketing budget? Do you have the same thing for like new staff members or like expense spend or anything else? Like, because you're talking about you should spend 80% at least.
Yeah.
Like how, because for a lot of people who are in that very early stage and maybe they are hitting sort of that $1 million worth of revenue and then they're kind of like, well, this is a really nice household income. Between that 500 to $1 million, I'm like, you know, can start to do whatever I want to do. Where's that? Did you ever have that line where you were like, now might be a good time to bring someone else on? Or were you just like, I just want to reinvest everything straight back into the business and build it quickly that way?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. So firstly, like before I go into like what I want to or why I did what I did, I want to just touch on something where like people need to be clear on what they want to do. And this is any niche. Like you got two spectrums, right? You got two ends of the spectrum. You got one side here that is the lean, mean profit machine. One side here that's that, but maybe a small team around you because I don't want too many headaches, thoughts, things to risk and manage. And I want to have control freak. And I don't mind if a little bit of profit goes down. I'm getting some time back. Then you go over here. I want to do one of those two, but don't give a crap about the business long term. I just want to earn enough money to pay for my mortgage. Just leave me alone. I don't want to work now, right? Then you have someone here that goes, I want to give this a go, but I don't want to go all the way. Then you have myself here who goes, I want to have the scale of Commonwealth Bank, but in buyer's agency. You know, like they employ 50,000 people. That's massive. How many jobs? Like people forget about that, right? All those profits that everyone hates about banks, I get it. But how much of that perhaps goes into super funds? How much of that goes to dividends to shareholders that are Aussies, right? I'm sure a lot of it goes overseas too, and they're not pretty. But at the same time, I'm just using an example. How much people's homes and things are you able to buy, investments, homes, because of mortgages that existed, right? The list goes on. The main thing is that's impact business. And so you don't have to go down the way I am with marketing or thoughts and bandwidths and breaking down those things if this is your way. So I don't think someone looking at that million, like you said, has to do this, right? Because Bendigo and Adelaide Bank, do they want to be the size of CBA? I don't think so. I think they want to be the community. They want to be like, hey, like we know you. This is us, you know us, we stand for this, they stand for that. We don't want to be there. Maybe they do, but I'm just outside view, I'm judging it to say they just want to be there. And they'll do great at that. They'll attract the customer that CBA will never get. So my thinking here is that once you've figured that out, then you start applying some of these principles. You might not give a crap about bandwidth. You might go, I want 60% profits because that's me, the lean machine. So that's just my thoughts firstly. It's just like, yes, I did think of all of those aspects down to it. But that's only because I'm trying this. If I wasn't trying this, then no, I wouldn't care about all those bandwidths and stuff. I'd just go, hey, give me control, leave me alone, look after a few people. Sorry, I can't look after you, I'm busy. I'll go home happy.
It's truth though. I often have a conversation with you and you're like, I've hired a new person, I've done this, I've done that. And I'm like, man, you're going to conquer the world at one time. And you're like, hey man, look, worst case scenario, if I go down to 20 clients a month and it's just me, it's happy days and cruisy, like I'm happy. I just want to build this thing. And I love that about you. And it's hard for being on the outside and getting to watch you build this massive thing. Like you always have the most inspiring social posts and things that go out, and like, I'll be comfortable in my little arena and have my thing, and then I'll see a social post from Arj who's just come out of open heart surgery ready to conquer the world. And I'm like, man, I got to do well with my life. But it's true. Everyone kind of runs their own race, hey?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and look, I said this yesterday to a few friends. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, honestly, there are people who are working from their garage doing the same thing I do in this industry. They probably make more money than me. So like, don't look at my stuff and then go, wow, I want all of that and I want to build this and I want that. If that's not what you truly want, if you're thinking it's from a money perspective, you might make more than me. So like, don't stress, don't compare with me. So I just feel like never compare. If you look at that post and you're like amped up because you have goals like that, then hell yeah, I'm glad I amped up a friend. I love it. But if you look at that post and your goals are never that and you're kind of fake amping yourself up, don't, man, because it'll steal your joy when you give it a go and then you'll be like, I don't want this. Leave me alone.
It comes down to values too, like you mentioned it as well.
Yeah.
Like you're all about family and keeping food on the table for everyone and making sure people got a job, and you've always done that. And so we mentioned a few names there of like early staff members at InvestorKit. The coolest thing is they're still there today, which is amazing. Apart from me, but I've started my own business, so that's all right.
Business is good.
Exactly. But how has that, like, I know those individuals are quite close to you, like family members or cousins or close relatives or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And now that you're at kind of that upper echelon of like 40 staff members and, you know, OAC, we're looking for 5 more property searchers or like, you know, researcher, this, that, different roles. How is that hiring process and trying to find the best people to work with changed for you over time as well?
Man, brilliant question. This is super tough. Honestly, super tough. I've gone through different phases. So the first one is you hire friends and family close to you. Pros and cons to that. Cons is you absolutely bitch out of having conversations and you don't want to have them and you try and put them to the side, which is a disservice to them and yourself and your business and your clients because you slow things down. But the pro is you can go blind trust. It's just there, right? You can go heart, values, blind trust, and that's beautiful. Especially at the start when you're like just trying to figure it out, to not have to worry about it. That's great. But how it changed over the years was like I valued experience a lot more, and I don't think that was a good thing because I got people who had experience, but then it just wasn't the right fit in a few cases. And then I changed to hiring for attitude, hiring for goals, hiring for passion. That helped a lot. Had a couple of A players. And then I didn't have any system and consistency. And then A players turned into an A, then a D, then a C, then a B, just random. You use the same principles and you think, why am I not scoring every single time? And then you realize you had no structure. So now we're up to this point where it's like, we want to build structure, but not to find A players. This is where I think most people get it wrong. And I've realized this. I think people should build their team with the goal to make everyone an A player eventually, but not feel like you have to put the pressure on yourself to nail the perfect A player hire every time. And there's this like line that's been sticking with me, and I don't want it to be condescending in any way, but it's like build a business for babies and hope to hire adults. I've just been saying this again and again, and I mean this from I want to build it for babies so anyone can succeed here. Not because you're a baby, but just because this industry is new to you. How you do things is new to you. How does that work is new to you. Like, also, do I want your line manager and then your manager's manager constantly putting out little fires and helping you with everything? That's unfair on them because now 6 others are not getting their love and attention. And that's unfair on you because you're going to try and get their love and attention and it won't, and you won't be helped. And then you try to be an A player, you're passionate, and you just look like a C player in my eyes, and then I don't want you in the team. This is stressful for them and stressful for me and stressful for that manager because I hate making those calls. The manager hates having to put out fires and leave big initiatives on the table. So now we're just like restructuring our learning, our development, our recruiting process. It's all about hope to build a business for babies, hope to hire adults. A, B, C is what it is. You can't perfectly control it. No one can tell me they're just kings of getting A players or queens of getting A players all the time. It's tough. It's hard. We've got a few in our team for sure. And we've got others who want to be A players and they're going to get there one day. And I just can't wait to get them there. That's my philosophy now in hiring. I think it's like, hey, build it for whoever to come in, hire for passion, attitude, learning, and just have the systems and processes to get them there without feeling like you're putting out a fire every minute. And you also get more talent that way because you're not trying to hunt for this unicorn every single time. So yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to look for an account manager for game plans, and I just put a LinkedIn post out, and I've got like over 100 applicants, and you can tell like some of them are just moved to Australia and they're looking for a job. Some of them have been at the same company for 5 years and probably looking for something different. Others are, have heaps of experience and probably want the higher salary package or whatever it might be. And then there's a couple who like love game plans and like will do anything to desperately work for the business. Is there like, when you see this range of applicants and different people in different demographics, is there anything that you do to kind of like, even though they are babies, but hiring them for adults, is there anything that you do to particularly go, these 5 are going to match the criteria?
Yeah, good. Yeah, another good question, man. So we tried something and it worked phenomenally. And now we're making this a staple in our business. We did in one division, it's called a challenge. Really simple challenge. So for people in our acquisitions team, they had 2-hour time blocks to call an LGA of agents. And they had to see how many agents they called, how many properties they received, how many passed due diligence, how many were off market versus on market, and then how many they called and didn't get through versus got through. We have challenges where they go to auctions and the auction might be on a Saturday. We want something close. They go on a Wednesday or Thursday open home. They have to take videos. They have to point out what they liked and didn't like. They have to also then tell us what they think it's going to sell for and how and why they got there. And then we tell them after on Monday to see if they actually sold for that. And then we give them random property addresses that haven't sold yet officially, but we know what they were purchased for. We purchased them and we want to see where they landed. That will help you immensely. That's helped us a lot. We got rid of a whole bunch of people because they didn't even want to submit something. So you wash away people who can't truly be bothered. Then you get people who submit it but do it horribly. And then you get people who submit it and did it well. And now you're probably just having an interview to see if they're a culture fit rather than any skill fit. And I feel that's been a big thing. That's a massive thing in our acquisition team, the challenges. The second thing now is off the back of those challenges, we're going to run that across everywhere. And lastly, automations, processes. Our new, head of growth, recruitment processes has been his just new baby, the project that he's been working on, and it's been special. Video intervention, like step-by-step processes, workflows in either direction. Like we've really taken recruitment to a new level to make it so people get a really special experience. So even if they don't get a role for us, like that was a cool experience, right? And people just in our leadership team don't have the stresses because recruitment's tough. But the problem is you don't want recruitment to be a shunned upon thing that you put on the side and you're like, oh no, I've got to recruit again. Leadership time, recruiting time. No, I need to set a standard that recruitment is so smooth, so likable, challenges to get the best you can, and processes, checklists, systems internally to not upskill in a very much against the grain way, so that my team learns from a leadership level, you must always be recruiting. Always. If you need to go a little bit above FTE because you found the right person, you go. If you don't think someone on the team's pulling their weight and you get a sense, don't wait for that to happen. Go get someone new. Go a little bit above target of workforce. I'll live with it. When you pay someone 100K, you don't pay them 100K today. It's over 12 months, right? So go and get someone else. Let the months go by. If that person is no longer working and they don't feel like being with us is a fit, they don't want to be with us, they'll move on. Performance will move them on, whatever. They'll find what's right for them. You've got someone else already. So I just want to get to that level. And I'm not there yet perfectly. I'm here to talk about my strategy, not about what I've done for that particular point, where challenges, automations and workflow, leadership culture of always be recruiting is just always on. Delegations are given to go above because I just want to be in bandwidth. I'm not here going, you must earn X money, bandwidth, and we'll live with it. And we just get the right talent for our customers, specialists in each division, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, that's key. Having specialists for each division is amazing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned different levels, or you're not at that level yet. But as you've built the business, I mean, obviously there's like new roles, there's new things you've had to learn. There's it's very different from starting as a buyer's agent and creating the reports yourself, doing the research yourself, negotiating. Like I've seen your journey of like getting Jung on board and having a researcher in-house, building the team, even like having James as head of growth now. Like that's unheard of in the buyer's agency industry. Like no one else that I know of has a head of growth, you know? So like how in learning about creating the business and going through the different stages of building the business, is there ever a sign, a flag? Is there something where you need to go, okay, I need to level up in a new category or my new learning or new understanding to then grow the business?
Yeah, yes and no. I think it's less about me leveling up and it's more about me leveling up who's in my team. Do you know what I mean? People always say, and this is like weird, right? Because people always talk about self-development. I'm a big believer of self-development. I'm trying to self-develop, but like there are shortcuts. Like the shortcut I've learned maybe in the last 6 months, even though 6 years is the journey and we built it over 6 years, the last 6 months when I got my leader for head of growth, I hired a better people leader than me. And throughout my career to that date, I was hiring people that I would pass on skills and pass on tasks and pass on duties. But then over the last year, there's a buyer's agent in our team who's a better buyer's agent than me. And like, I didn't want to tell him that in his first 3 months because I could see it. And then I still don't tell him that. You don't know who you are. I'm not going to tell you you're better than me. Please keep trying to be better.
Wait, every single one of your buyer's agents is better than you, right?
Yeah, true actually. But I mean, like this person, I just, like they're genuinely better than me. And so, you know, James, our head of growth, he's a better people leader than me. And so what I've come to learn is it's not about leveling you up. Yes, there's a leveling you up with your pride must go down, but you level up through getting people who are better than you, right? So our team has better researchers than me. Like up until year 3, I'd say that, hey, that was my domain. Now I'm just interpreting their domain, right? I just feel like I'm a good interpreter, a communicator of their research, but they're the research team. So I feel like even the next few hires, like we're hiring right now and we're hiring for a head of operations role. I'd expect that person to be better at ops than me. If not, we'll just keep looking for the right one. So I think like that's the best way to level up for me moving forward. It's not so much my development. It's more like everyone else in terms of get around me. My development comes from shutting up and being more humble to make sure I can do that and not worry about whether this person will undermine me or overpower me. Like that's probably my development there. My development comes in, I have to think bigger if I want to make more impact. And so yes, there's investment there. My development is slightly learning about a skill set, just enough to kind of be able to understand and talk it and support people in decision making. My development has to be on, you know, not having blockers in certain business and just sitting there and letting them be blockers, like actually getting mentors and people who've solved them, who've attacked something I want to do and getting them to help me. So I feel like it's almost like now, like it's all about how much help I can get. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not about how good I am. I'll get good along the way when I see someone do something you learn and you're like, oh, I know what a CRM is now. How does that work? Oh, I know what a bit of that. Oh, you project manage? Yeah, cool. I know a bit of that now. You'll learn little bits and be able to chat about it at dinner. But I'm at the part now where I've realized I will never be super good at anything else in life now. Like firstly, I'm in my 30s and, you know, you learn a lot in your childhood years and you've kind of in your early 20s. I'm not saying you can't learn shit later on. You can, but you'll never be as good as someone who's been learning it their whole life and that's their specialization. I think now I'm at a stage where I just have to be super humble, set myself down and just make sure I go, just keep getting people who are better, think bigger. And whenever you get stuck on something, ask for help, get mentors. You'd be surprised how many people want to give help out there. Like humans are good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
there are some good humans out there.
There are lots of good humans, more than most people think. People think like, hey, the world this, the world that, the media will show you shit that happens, it's bad around the world. But I guarantee you, like 9 out of 10 people you stop on the road and you actually like approach them properly and they'll say nice things, they'll be helpful. And so the same thing with super successful people, like who are mentors. Like, don't be shy, just reach out to them. And, you know, that's how I'm helping myself now. I'm helping myself because the guy who's mentoring me just, you know, he sold $2 billion. His office sold $2 billion in real estate in the last year. You know, Ryan Serhant in USA, I think he did like 1.4 in his Owning Manhattan show. And that's like the biggest brand out there in real estate. Bloke down the road in Sydney just did 2 billion. Down the road in Sydney. No, outside of real estate, many people might not know him. But you know what? I have to learn skill sets from him that he's just way better at. And he's better at crafting a vision. He's better at getting people on your team. He's better at recruitment. He's better at thinking about how to make things that are 10-year goals happen in 2 years. I'm just trying to learn that from him. So now it's just like how do you develop yourself? People who've done things that you want in specific domains. Not what he's achieved in 2 billion. That's just an outcome to show his skills. But everything that I'm sucking at, he's really good at. And so I just want that. And then there might come a time where I've gotten that from him and I have to be okay, and he'll be totally fine because he just does these catch-ups for free with me. He's like, yeah, cool, I get my time back, right? So where I move on from him and find that next skill that I'm suck at, and I get help and hire people around me. So yeah, long-winded answer, but the short thing is personal development, I believe in it, but I think it has to change as you evolve. Now it's thinking bigger, get help, and hire more people better than you.
Have you had other mentors in the past?
Yeah, I have.
Has there been a lot, or is it just a select few?
It started a little bit of a spray and hope. And I think that was, the best way to do it, because that's where I learned the habit of getting mentors, not because of their goals, what they've done, what they've achieved. That's just a validation point. But I get mentors now to address a gap in my business. Like, too many people look at a mentor going, wow, you've achieved X. I would love to achieve X. Therefore, we connect. Therefore, I learn from you. And they'll keep catching up with this person fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, thinking that a coffee here is doing them good. Take a selfie of them in the mentor place. Yeah, look at me. I reach out to people. If they're not having the skill set you're not as good at, or you want to learn, or you're an opportunity that you want to take on that they did take on, you're just wasting time with some successful people. That's all you're doing. You're just wasting time with successful people. And that sounds weird to say, but you are. So for me, I just feel like, no, you get a mentor for a skill gap, you get a mentor for a business gap, you get a mentor for an opportunity gap, a mindset blocker, whatever it is. And that might be one of those skill sets. So I kept changing mentors. Hey, I sucked at manifestation, self-belief, thinking I could get stuff. I had a mentor for that. And as soon as she taught me some techniques, taught me some things to learn, I just felt like I had that covered. And I'm like, hey, I don't care how successful you are in what you do, how you do it. That was where I sucked at and I got it. Thank you so much. I'm out. Right? Another person mentored me to go, hey, this is how you start a buyer's agency business. This is how you do this, this, that. Super helpful. But then we don't connect as much on other parts, not because they're not great at what they do. They're a successful business owner. It's just that where they've got success, and I need to learn from someone else for something else. So don't be shy to give them up. Don't be shy to move on. I just personally believe like you grab the skill and people are willing to give it away. You're so surprised.
Yeah. And often like what I've realized is every entrepreneur or business owner goes down different pathways. So like one mentor, even though they've ran a super successful business and been really good at what they do, might decide that they want to have a bit more of a lifestyle, or where another one wants to, be one of these companies that sell $2 billion worth of real estate or whatever it might be. And so that if that's the pathway that you want to go down, bring into your life who you want to have into your life.
And they can't have like we all have the same 24 hours, right? You heard that? So they can't actually be that good at everything. Like the same way I suck at a lot of things that my team's better than me at, it's the same shit with them. Just because they built a $100 million company doesn't mean they're a brilliant marketer. They've got brilliant marketers in the team. They can interpret their stats. They can interpret the projects they do. They might have forgotten about a lot of the projects. They signed off some stuff and they said, yeah. Like you got to talk to people in their skill domain. Like this person's skill domain who sold $2 billion of real estate. Did he sell one property? He didn't sell any of those properties. But did he grab a team and he took that team to over 120 people within 3 years? He did. How?
That's the skill, right? That's the skill you're grabbing.
How does this guy, where whoever he talks to, they want to stop their business, close it, and go, I want to join forces with you. How? Like that guy's a genius in that, like visionary. I want to be like him. I want to take that skill. So I will spend time with him.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's, And it's funny because that kind of like completely shifts, like your business growth and your journey completely shifts at multiple stages, right? At one time you were Arjun the buyer's agent and that's what you wanted to be good at. Now you grew into like Arjun the business owner who was helping everyone do their roles. Your mentor, I remember doing mentoring calls with you and they're amazing. Like they were on point. You're like, dude, at 23 minutes and 4 seconds, you tore your shirt. Like, were you nervous? Is there something like you were so good at that? And so like there's different roles that you've played along this whole journey. And again, it seems like this is the new one. Is like, well, not only am I Arjun the buyer's agent, not am I Arjun the business owner, not am I Arjun the guy who needs to figure out who, not how, but now it's like, how do we scale and build this team to be a massive thing, which is crazy, man. Hats off to you.
Thanks, dude. But just remember, I'm 6 years in. I haven't got it all figured out. I'm still learning a lot. I've still got mentors. I've still got learning a lot, right? And by no means am I this massive business that's, doing big things in Australia yet. And yeah, we're just doing good in our domain in a relatively young industry. Yes, the industry's had people for decades, but I mean young in terms of young at the size and the rapid growth that it's happening. And yeah, I just want to set an example for it. I want to hit some goals that are pretty special for team impact, customer impact, business impact, and just see where it takes us, right? Like just give it a go in life.
So you mentioned before that you're in your 30s. We're the same age. We're 32. Yeah. And I got my bloods done the other day. I got my test results today. And my cholesterol was up. It's like double what it should have been. And I had this massive freak out moment. I'm like, I'm getting old. My body's changing. Like I got to start looking after my health. And then I remembered you were coming over this afternoon. And I remember you just had open heart surgery, which is crazy. How has that impacted things for you?
Man, pros and cons, like, you know what I mean? There's no such thing as a con, no such thing as a pro. Pros and cons. Firstly, if I wind back to when I discovered it, I might even go a year before that. So a year and a half ago, I'm by no means super fit now, but I was ultra overweight. I got to 138 kilos, 140 around there. I hired a gentleman, life changer. Zach Mason, just fitness guru, absolute fitness guru. And he can relate to professionals and corporates and business owners. He changed my life, honestly. Over the next 18 months, I lost 30 kilos, right? But here's the crazy part. By gaining that weight and taking up a insurance policy, because I was over a certain weight, I had to do extra tests. Those extra tests said I had RBBB, right branch bundle block, which many people have. And they go, we can't give you insurance until you go and do an echogram. Did a cardio echogram. Long story short, my heart's fucked. And why I mentioned that story before of being overweight is life does things to you in crazy ways. Had I not been overweight, they might not have gotten me to do all those tests. So eating all those burgers and donuts was a blessing. Blessing, my friend. So Krispy Kremes, I just want to give you a big shout out. Thank you. So by doing all of that, I gained the weight. But then there's the scary part. I shouldn't have been training intense. I should have got my surgery then, which also has cons. Because if I'd got my surgery then, how would a recovery have been at 138, 140 kilos? Would I have made it alive out of the table? Who knows? Would I have been able to get out of the ventilator with strength? Who knows? 10-hour surgery. Like, what would have happened? Like, what if the cut didn't heal properly because I'm just too big and like something? So, firstly, gaining the weight, blessing to find out I had to get these tests and then got declined for cover. But then the second is I lost the weight heavily without having a heart attack. Because the way they told me the news, they said, hey, you could die in the next 5 years. Like, you could die in the next few years. It could be tomorrow. You might have a heart attack, heart failure, you're done. And like 32 to hear that, that's bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never wish that upon anyone. That's proper fucked. Like, it's bullshit.
It's crazy. And
so in my head, losing that weight, I was the luckiest man alive because I was training in Thailand with a boot camp. My wife and I, we went there 3 times a day. So morning boot camp, afternoon PT, evening boot camp. Massage in between, snacks in between. And like the first week, they had us on 800 calories per day. The first week. And while training 3 times a day. Deadly. And so like I lost like 8 kilos in 4 weeks, and then the rest of it was through Zach with everything. But to not have a heart attack, to not die, and during that time was lucky. So then I come to actually getting the echocardiogram. I got the insurance decline, but I didn't get the echocardiogram for ages. I just put it off because I was like, oh no, I'm overweight, I'll get to it. I got it done, and they basically said my left atrium was like at 73 millimeters, and supposedly normal is like 45 to 55, and then it's like the most dangerous at the level I was at. I had a leaking aortic valve, and it was like not a small leak where it was major. And the problem is when you've had something since birth and you are overweight, you don't think those things that are symptoms, you just think you're a big boy. And you're just like, I'm a big guy. It's meant to be tough to walk up a hill. It's meant to be tough to get up and sit down. It's meant to be tough to have a phone call and start heavy breathing. It's meant to, because you're big. But then I realized this was serious. They gave me a whole bunch of options. Gut feels didn't sit well. Engaged different doctors. Ended up getting the best doctor in the country in Melbourne. And he did a procedure called the Ross procedure. Super complex, replaced like 2 valves essentially. Woke up out of that surgery 6 weeks ago. The last 48 hours of this recording, like the first time I'm properly getting out of my house and speaking to other people outside of my house like comfortably. And just about a week ago, I couldn't talk without coughing every sentence. So like the improvement, the first 3 weeks were hell, like physical hell. Last 3 weeks have been mental hell. And what I mean by mental hell, it's like physically my pain is gone. Physically, I'm talking without coughing. Physically, I'm getting better every few days, but I'm in constant fear because you're walking around, you get palpitations. You're walking around, you get up and a little bit dizzy and you're like, okay, am I okay? You're pumping meds through your body and you hope side effects don't hit you. Man, some of these meds they're giving me, crazy. You stand outside in the sun too long, you get photosensitivity and you can have issues with that. One of them gives you fibrosis if you're on it too long. That's stuffed. Do you know what I mean? One of them, your eyesight can be impacted. Like it's crazy, some of the meds. I got rehospitalized 2 times post-surgery because I had atrial fibrillation, and that's where you sit down and your heart rate's at 140 just sitting on your chair, and it doesn't switch off. It's just at 140. You got to go to the ER. They put you under. They, pump your chest. But man, 6 weeks now. It's meant to be a 12-week recovery, but built different, built different.
Arj 2.0.
Arj 2.0. That's a saying I've been saying. Arj 2.0. You got to get out. And look, I also want to say one thing, right? Those 12-week recovery periods and the rest stuff, and like they were built for our parents and stuff generations. And why I say that, and I don't. It's not to say that no one can rest 12 weeks. Please do your rest. We are so blessed to not be digging stuff in the ground. I am so blessed to not be lifting things, working on a plumbing job or working as a mechanic like my father. That shit's tough. It's hard.
Hard yakka.
And to know that at 6 weeks, work is phone call, laptop, email, handshake, lunch, coffee, Zoom. You got no excuses. Come on, man. You don't need 12 weeks. Like, yes, I'll bring it back. And so I just start feeling good now. Want to have, my own mind back. And I guess what that changes for me is it changes a lot. I think when you get told you're going to die and you have a surgery and you come out and you wake up and the surgery went well, the switch in me is what you said before, Arjun 2.0. The switch in me is like, I have this impact-related goal and I'm going to let nothing stop me. I'm going to really give it a good go. I'm going to do it for all the right reasons. And just make sure before I leave Earth, I've given my everything to create the most jobs I can, get the most people I can off the pension in the future, create the most generational wealth I can for my clients, look after my family and give them the most amazing life experiences I can, spend the most time I can with my kid, my wife, and my dad, and just see where life takes me. At the end of the day, whatever numbers come from it, they're just cool numbers and targets to keep me running. If I hit them, I hit them. If I don't, it's going to be a special journey, even if you fall short. So that's kind of where life's at now. Risk tolerance, everything from a level of being able to get this impact to happen is obviously much higher because, man, like, could have been gone. So
yeah. It seems like because you were super aspirational before the surgery, right? Like you always had big goals and big dreams, which you've achieved, and you're still on that pathway. But now it feels like you're not doing it for a monetary value. You're not doing it for like this big ego drive. It's more around like, man, I could have died. Like, I've got very little time on this earth.
Yeah.
Life can go in a sudden. Let's just build the best thing for our staff members, for our clients, for my family. Like, it just seems like it's a kind of a mindset shift in terms of what's actually driving you.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, 100%. You nailed it. I think big mindset shift. Before it was growth for the sake of growth. Now there's like things attached and goals attached and all that sort of stuff. But day by day.
Do you reckon you'll have a lifestyle change, like a bit more of a work-life balance now, or?
No, because I've never believed in that anyway. I've always believed in like integration. Like if you want to work at 10 p.m. and you see your daughter at 10:05, 10:10, and she runs past you and she's not in bed and she's making noises and it's fun and all that stuff, and that jolts you, and then you're good and that's family time, and then you go back to bed and you want to go back and do a few more emails. You do what you want. Like at the end of the day, like you got goals. The more they mean to you, the more you'll do for them. And you'll have things that come up and they'll be part of your goals, spending time with family, going out to certain places to tick bucket lists, whether you want to go on the Great Wall of China, whether you want to go up in the Sky Tower, whether you want to climb the Harbour Bridge, and you'll just chuck them in where you feel they're important. Hey, this year, my goal every year since mum passed, I take my dad away every November for his birthday, go to a trip, take him overseas where he hasn't been before, work remotely. And like, that's an important thing to me. So that slides in as an integration point. Like that doesn't get skipped. It's important to me. So you just prioritize what's important. If some days you work an hour and that jog and that workout was important to you, that is. If some days you work 10 hours, but that project was important to you to move the dial, you just freaking do it. I think control is important. Control meaning we've grown the leadership team. So I technically only have one direct report. And then that's that, person, and me and him work closely together. And sometimes we work on projects that need me to work 10 hours. Sometimes we work on projects and I need to influence things that only take 30 minutes of my time, and he'll move the dial. We work together to achieve common goals. And if I'm not hitting goals at an organization level, he won't be hitting his goals at a level. Therefore, I'm holding him back. So there's still a higher motivation to do more than do less. But I just want control. And as days go by, spending time with Ruby, my daughter, might be the most important thing today, and that shall be, because, at a certain level of revenue, I've also learned one thing. No matter what you do, I could jump on every call tomorrow for buying a property. I could jump on every call tomorrow to speak to new inquiries. I could jump on every call tomorrow to maybe get more off markets. I could jump on every call tomorrow with marketing companies to figure out where we go and what we do, how we do it. You aren't moving the dial, because it's beyond me now. It's my team. And so I've got to be there in an influence capacity, support capacity, service standards capacity, and just see where we can take this to meet those goals. So if I can't move the dial anyway, there's no point like countlessly doing it every day. Work-life integrate, figure out what's important to you. The goals will be there. And if you don't have big goals, your team will usually leave you as well. So you don't want to just have your time back and do nothing, because your team will just leave. Like they don't have inspiration. They don't grow if you don't grow the company, and they just leave. So no, I've got big goals. Some days are 10 hours, some days are 1. I can control it, but I'm not going to control too much on this side because these goals won't get hit. So yeah.
I love it. I was going to ask you some advice for some aspiring entrepreneurs, but I think that was massive. Just like, I can do every single thing. I can wear every single cap. I can try and get on every call, but I'm not going to move all the dial on every single thing the best way.
You won't. Like, 1 month might look good, but it's not sustainable, right? I jump on every sales call. Maybe conversion jumps up from 30% to 50 to 60 to 70. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't. But like the fact that your thinking, your ego gets in the way, and you think you're better than everyone, you think you can do it the best, and you have to do this way, like you just won't achieve it. Like honestly, like I could try and buy every property I could for every one of my clients. I'll get a scratch. Like I won't get through it because my team of 10, 15 in that division does it more, does it at higher frequency. You just got to live with it that you can't move the dial anymore. Everything has to be slow. You have to do things the right way. You have to influence the right way. You have to have people that are better than you, and you just can't move the dial. It's too big now to move the dial by me. Like it's everyone else.
Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on, especially after open heart surgery.
Yes,
6 weeks after. Yeah. Can't believe you haven't coughed the whole way through this thing. And
yeah, it's been good. I'm feeling good.
You're back to Arch point one, Arch 1.0 for now.
Yeah,
Arch 2.0 1.5. Yeah,
mine's there, but the body's not. Give me another 6 weeks, and the personal milestones of like lifting my daughter up and opening doors with one hand versus two. Having 2 plates of food on my hand rather than one, all these cool things I can't wait to try again, but we'll see how it goes.
Love it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.